Amazing. Okay, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you this afternoon. My name is Tomi Akingbade, and I am here as the Deputy Chair of the Black in Biomedical Research Advisory Group, or also known as BBRAG for short. I'd like to acknowledge the chairs of this board before I move on, who are sad that they're not able to be here today. So the chairs of this board are Professor Bernardine Iduwu from the University of West London and Professor Franklin Ahiburu from the University of Cambridge. So today I will be walking you through what BBRAG is, our objectives and the progress that we have made so far. Next slide, please. So just a bit of our background. So the BBRAG is a group that we have £3.7 million dedicated to the next 3 years. This has been approved by MRC Executive Board, the MRC Strategy Board, and the MRC Council. And we're very pleased to say that we have 20 members currently on the advisory board who all serve in different disciplines under the biomedical umbrella. So our objective and our aim is to help address the continual underrepresentation of researchers from Black heritage backgrounds across the MRC and UKRI funding portfolios, and also within the MRC staff population, and then also more broadly across the biomedical sciences. Next slide, please. So we have 7 objectives that I'll take you through today, and I'll take you through them briefly first, and then I will talk you through the progress that we've made under these objectives. So our first objective is to provide additional opportunities to observe MRC board panels and gain reviewer experiences for Black biomedical researchers. Objective 2 is to fund pilot conferences and a summer lab internship program for Black students at the University of West London. Objective 3 is to work in partnership with the Laboratory of Molecular Biology, or LMB as people more commonly know it, to develop a fellowship scheme for Black researchers. Next slide, please. Objective 4 is to provide funding for school outreach organisations, and this will be focused on pre-university students. We'd also be working through Objective 5 to investigate the development of MRC fellowship schemes for Black researchers. Objective 6 is to develop a proposal for MRC funding to support a JLA PSP. I will talk through what these abbreviations mean as I dive into these objectives further. And this JLA PSP will be focused on health inequalities that are impacting Black communities. Objective 5 is to investigate the development of a UK-Europe version of the American Annual Biomedical Conference for Minoritized Scientists. Next slide, please. So now you know our aims, I'd like to take you through some of the progress that we've made excitingly over the past few years. So next slide, please. So Objective 2 I mentioned was to fund pilot conferences and summer internships for Black students at the University of West London. So we're pleased to share some pictures of how this has been going so far. So both of these conferences are have been founded by Professor Bernardine Iduwu, so we'd like to acknowledge her for the work that she's put into this. So on the left, you are seeing the promo flyer for the Changing the Story of Black Biomedical Sciences, which is a conference that's been put on for Black students. It's currently been running for 2 years, and the picture at the bottom that you can see is the attendees of this year's conference who were actually taken to the University of Cambridge, where it was hosted, and they were shown around Cambridge, the town, and had some exposure to the university. On the right, you are seeing the flyer for the Black BME ECR conference. So the Black and Minority Ethnic Early Career Researchers Conference, which is held for early career researchers and postgraduate students, and has currently been running for 8 years. So we're pleased to be able to support this. And also, just to note, we don't have any pictures of this, but summer lab internships are taking place, and we're happy to be supporting that as well. Next slide, please. So we'd like to touch on Objective 7, which I mentioned was to investigate the development of a UK/Europe version of the American Annual Biomedical Conference for Minoritized Students. So next slide, please. To give you a bit of background on the inspiration for this. So this is a conference that was starting in 2000 in the US, and it's been running for 23 years. In 2003, some of our board members were able to go and attend. And just to give an understanding of the magnitude of this conference, there are about 13 sponsors, there are over 900 exhibitors, and over 5,000 people in attendance. it's been reported to us by the people who attended that this was a great conference and very inspiring, and amazing connections were made. There are various different organisations involved, so it forms a very great ecosystem. So that includes universities, funders, industry partners, testing bodies, and professional bodies. In addition to this conference, they're able to host a platform called ABRCMS 365, which is a continuous link to communities through educational platforms and also through live events. We as a board, we believe that a UK style of this conference would create a self-sustaining community network with shared purpose. So this is part of a pipeline development and involves transference and sharing of knowledge across all stages along the academic path. So next slide, please. So we're very pleased to announce that the Minoritized Life Scientists Future Forum will be Europe's first conference supporting scientists from marginalised and underrepresented backgrounds. This will be taking place early next year, and we've just put some of the reasons in why you should attend. One that is to get access to cutting-edge research, and the second is to shape the future of STEM. There are obviously many more reasons why you should attend, but we'll just give you those tasters now. But please keep your eyes peeled. We're hoping that this will be happening and coming early next year. Next slide, please. Thank you. To touch on further Objective 6, which is developing a proposal to fund a JLA PSP. So JLA PSP is James Lind Alliance Priority Setting Partnership. And I'll tell you a bit more about what PSP is now in the next slide, please. So a priority setting partnership, PSP, is a setting in which you can focus on a single condition or area of health and social care, in which patients, carers and clinicians are able to work as equals. This allows for the identification of unanswered questions and identification of evidence uncertainties. Next slide, please. So what is the JLA? So the JLA is a space that allows for a PSP to exist. Their current PSPs, I will list off now, is pediatric and emergency medicine, sickle cell disease, sepsis, pelvic floor dysfunction in Ethiopia, and critical care in Canada. So by identifying these uncertainties, they're able to direct and inform future research and information sharing in various different health and social concerns. Thank you. Next slide, please. So an additional PSP is the BBRAG PSP. So the rationale for this PSP is basically to look at chronic respiratory diseases and asthma in Black children and adults in the UK. So next slide, please. So this approach, this PSP that the BBRAG is doing is taking on a lifespan approach to looking at both children and adults. We have identified that and want to investigate that there have been multiple contributing risk factors, including biological, social, environmental, occupational, and economical factors. We are touching on looking at the prevalence and impact that this has had on the Black community, and how. And also the relevance for this as well is that it's very also timely and relevant. As we've seen in the last past 5 years, we know how important and taking focus in respiratory health is, and we're really looking forward to diving into this PSP. Next slide, please. So this PSP will be launching in March 2025, so a couple of months away, and we will be in partnership with Asthma and Lung UK. So we have been reaching out to people, and people have expressed an interest in this project and they will hear back from us from now till the end of the year. So if you have already expressed an interest, please do keep an eye on your inboxes. And there is still further opportunity to get involved as we're looking to get engaged with local communities. So if you have any interest in getting involved in this, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. We'll share some of our contact details in the final slides of this presentation. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going on to Objective 5, which was to investigate the development of MRC fellowship schemes for Black researchers. Next slide, please. So some of you may already see this, but if you haven't, we're really, really proud of the LNB Rising Talent Fellowship. So this is a scheme in which to 2 fellowships are awarded per year to early career researchers who are looking for their first or second postdoc positions, and it provides them with a 3-year period, safe period of career development, with obviously the possibility for extension if needed, and is for those early career scientists from Black heritage backgrounds. We're really pleased to announce that this year 2 people have already been awarded with this, and look forward to seeing future cohorts come about. Next slide, please.
Just a 2-minute warning, Tommy. Thank you.
Great, I will make it into minutes, sorry. And also just to add the LMS Fellowship, which is another Black researcher fund that we're really proud to be involved in. So the LMS Fellowship is a postdoctoral fellowship for Black heritage scientists. We currently have, there will be 2 cohorts that will reside at MRC London Medical Sciences Institutes. The board is very excited to be involved in the promotion and recruitment of this fellowship, and there'll be more information coming in the next month. So if this is of interest to you, or you know people who may be interested in applying, please do encourage them to apply. We're very excited about this process and the opportunity that we'll be able to give some Black heritage scientists. Next slide, please. So I've given you a whistle-stop tour on the many objectives and a lot of the work that's been ongoing. I would literally say this is what we've been able to show in the time that we've been allowed. This is what we've been able to show in the time that we've been allowed, but there's much more what we've got going on. So you can scan this QR code to visit our website or webpage, and then also this is the email address that you can use to contact with any questions. I will be staying around for the Q&A session, and I believe there'll be someone else from MRC in the audience as well, trying to help answer questions as well. But yes, it's been an absolute pleasure. And if you do want to get involved or have any more questions or want to know more about the other members of the board, please do contact this email address. And final slide, please. Yes, I just want to take thank you for listening. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Before I go, I want to acknowledge the rest of the board. As I mentioned, there are 20 other board members, and without them, this work would not have been possible. And we're really excited to see where the board goes in the future. I also want to again acknowledge the chairs of the board, Professor Bernardine Idua from the University of West London and Professor Franklin from the University of Cambridge, and also 2 people who have been doing amazing work in this but do not put their name on the list of acknowledgements required. Nicholas Farmer, who is the Race Equality Lead from MRC, and Sarah Gola-Seleki, who is the Quality, Diversity and Inclusion Engagement and Change Manager at MRC. So massive thanks to them and all of the people on the board for making this happen, and we look forward to hearing from more of you and engaging with you as a community.